Morning and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to run over the route of the Lyke Wake Walk. Start off at Motherley, work our way through, getting up towards the line in at Wake Ridge and back across the moors heading towards Ravenscar. So we'll get the maps out and I'll show you everything I can to help you get your route planned. Put some grid references on of all the prominent points and some little pictures and stuff to try and help you on your way. Let's get the maps out and get it done. See you in a minute. Right, so here we are, we're on the OS Explorer map number 26 and we're briefly starting off on the south page. So in the top left hand corner you've got a trig point there in Arncliffe Woods. That, depending on where you look, is one of the start points of the Lyke Wake Walk. However, we started off just north of Codbeck Reservoir from the car park. I'll put the grid references on the screen as we go along. So we came out of the car park, turned right, we headed along Quarry Lane and then went north. So I'll just quickly flip the map and then we'll carry on. So we're back now on the OS Explorer 26 map, but we've now moved on to the north page. And we come back onto this page here and we carry on up that road until we get to a cattle grid. At the cattle grid, follow the Cleveland Way signs and work your way along to Round Hill through the woods. I believe it's at this point here is where the first Lyke Wake stone is. I'll put the grid reference on the screen for that as well. And you carry on heading your way through the woods, carry on the Cleveland Way along this path where you turn left at this point. So from this point you're going to turn left and go across a farmer's field. When we went it had cattle in it. And then there's another gate at this point where you go through the woods, over the stream, over the weir, and then you follow this road that's well signposted for the Cleveland Way. And at that point where I put a B, there's a gate, and then you go through that gate, through the woods, through Livermore Plantation, up to the point where I've written a C, where we turn right, and then you go up some steps through another gate, and then you work your way up, start the first incline up onto the moors, over the first hill that's called Round Hill, and then up to the cairn, which is where the Bronze Age burial mound is. And then carry on along the Cleveland Way. It's really well defined. Across the top of Gold Hill. So from Gold Hill, you're just going to carry on along the ridge, following the Cleveland Way. It's all really well signposted and the path's pretty good until you get towards Carlton Moor and then the trig point on top of Carlton Bank. After Carlton Bank, carry on the same direction, start dropping down over the road. From the road, go straight on through some woods and then you'll reach the Lordstones cafe. It's a really good place to have a cup of tea or a scone or something. Once you finish there, carry on the way you come in and then follow the well-defined path. It's signposted for the Cleveland Way still, and then start working your way up to Kringle Moor where the stone seat is. From Kringle Moor, carry on walking along the path along the ridge. If you wish, you can visit Drake's Howe, which is just a little bit up this path, and that's the highest point on Cringlemoor. We carried on along this path and worked our way along, carrying on the Cleveland Way, dropped down into the valley, carried on back up the hill to this point here, which is Coldmoor. From Coldmoor, we carried on following the Cleveland Way, back down the valley and up towards Wheeldale. When you're finished taking in the views at Wheeldale, you work your way through the boulder field. I'll put on the screen now where Dinosaur Rock is. It's slightly off the Cleveland Way, but only by about 30-40 metres. And you carry on following the Cleveland Way, heading towards White Hill. The views are really good over Cleveland from this point as well. You just follow the ridge line and the well-defined path until you finally drop down to the road. This road's called the B1257 and it's where we cross over straight across, following the well-defined path again. And we carry on walking up Car Ridge. Keep to the well-defined path along Car Ridge. Work your way towards Round Hill, where there's also a trig point. After Round Hill, you're going to start heading, following the Cleveland Way, and start heading back down towards lower levels, following the Cleveland Way signs, where you'll get to this point, where there's a fork in the track that takes you off to the right, and then you get to Blowworth Crossing. From Blowworth Crossing, follow the signs to Blakey Ridge, and then follow the well-defined gravelled path up the old Farndale dismantled railway for 9 kilometres. You can't go wrong at this point, you're just walking on pretty much the only path there is. Don't turn off. And then we get to this point where we drop off the map. So I'll just flip the map over and go back onto the south page. Right, I've just flipped the map over and we're back on the south page of OS Explorer map number 26, where we carry on following the dismantled railway over High Blakey Moor, past the grouse butts, all the way down, and then we get to the main road at this point where we turned left and then followed the main road until we got to the Lion Inn at Blakey Ridge. And that was where we ended our day one. So day two, we started after our breakfast at the Lion Inn at Blakey Ridge, and we headed north, carrying on the same direction we were on the morning, where we go off the south sheet and back onto the north sheet. So I'll just quickly flip the page now. So we're back on the north page where we're carrying on the main road after leaving the Lion Inn at Blakey Ridge. We follow the main road along the verges until this point. I've actually marked that we went up to the junction on the main road, but we actually came across this well-defined path over the moors to this point where white cross boundary stone is that looks like the figure of a man. We turned right and followed this road in this direction. At this point, I've got us going across the moors, but this path here, I wouldn't advise it. It's very overgrown and boggy, so we just carried on and we followed the main road. We walked past that T-junction, where there's some signposts. We followed the signs to Rosedale and carried straight on. There's also a large boundary stone there. And then we get to this point here where the Lyke Wake Walk stone is. There's also a pile of stones and a little bridge over the beck, where we turned left and headed onto the moors. For a short walk along the moors, you can take a very slight detour of about 50 metres to visit the trig point at Howe. And then we carry on following the boundary stones along this smaller track, and it's the county parish boundary. That's why the boundary stones are there, and probably why the walk has this route. And so we leave the map at that point, and then we'll go on to the next map. So I'll switch maps now and bring you back. So for continuity's sakes, I'm going to show you where we've jumped across from the OS 26 map onto the OS 27, because there's a bit of an overlap. So there you can see Middle Head, and then when we jump across onto the OS Explorer OL 27 map, the north page, you can see Middle Head is here, where our route's going to carry on. So from Middle Head, we're going to carry on walking along the moorland track, following the boundary stones. So we get to a pond, which will be on your left. And then just after the pond is Howe. After Howe, you carry on in a straight direction towards Tonehill Boundary Stone, and along to over Whitemoor, following the boundary stones still, and then eventually will arrive at the Blue Man If Moss Standing Stone. If you're a bit adventurous, just to the northeast there is Wheeldale Howe, which you'll be able to see from this point. You can see it anyway. It stands out like a sore thumb. And then you just need to keep Wheeldale Plantation and Bumblewood on your left hand side until we drop off this map onto the south page. So I'll just quickly flip the map to show you that. Right, so now we're on the south page of OL 27, and we're back at Blue Man If Standing Stone. We're going to follow on, keeping Wheeldale Plantation on our left, and head our way down to Ravenstones. After Ravenstones, we'll carry on following the only track there is, and work our way along towards Wheeldale Road, which is at this point. You go straight on at Wheeldale Road over the stile, and then work your way along the sheep fields, going down into the valley. It gets steep here, so be really careful, especially in the wet, towards Stepping Stones, which is laid on the map, and it's actually a really nice area of Stepping Stones which goes over Wheeldale Beck. Once you're over Wheeldale Beck Stepping Stones, start edging your way back up the bank up towards Howe Moor, and at this point here there's an old wooden Lyke Wake Walk sign telling you to carry on in this direction. You carry on, at this point you can see Simon Howe, so you just walk along the well-defined track until you get to Simon Howe Standing Stones. That's worth taking a bit of time to appreciate. And just off to the north, there's also a trig point if you want to visit that. So once you've finished at Simon Howe, carry on in this direction. If you turn left and follow this footpath, you'll go to Goathlands. If you turned right and followed this footpath, you'll go towards Levisham. And we want to go this way, following the well-defined path across the moors, slowly dropping down, where you'll find a gate at this point, where we're going to cross the railway of the North Yorkshire Moors Railway, and then over the footbridge, through Fen Bog, and then up towards the main road, which is the A169, and where Ellerbeck Bridge also is. Once you get onto the A169, there's a little bit of footpath here where we turn left and walk along until we get to the point where the chalk looking track comes off from the bridge. And then we follow the fence line, which will be on our right. RAF Fylingdales is just there, so that's always going to be on your right hand side. And there's a fence here, and we follow this all the way along. Through this terrain, it gets really rugged, it's really overgrown, but the navigation aid that you'll need is you'll see Lilla Cross. It's over here, you can see that in the distance. If you just keep heading to that, it's the only sticky up point on top of the skyline. So follow this track until you arrive at Lilla Cross. So when you're finished at Lilla Cross, there's a plaque here to read with some information on that I'll put on screen. You carry on through the well-defined path, and at this point you can actually see the beacon at Ravenscar, so you can just use that to follow. Go past Burnhow Duck Pond, following it straight on. You'll then be able to see Burnhow, which is a mound of earth with a cairn on top of it. You can use that to head to there. Once you leave Burnhow, it forks off to the left, but this path is a lot more obvious than the one that goes to the right, so you shouldn't be too bad with that. And then you start heading down off the moors, where there's a gate at this point. It gets quite steep, and you go down towards Juggerhow Beck. Then you start your climb up the side of Juggerhows, where you'll get to the top, taking the views, and following again. It's just a well-defined track. You can see that at this point you can't see the mast in the distance, but there's only one really way you can go. Then you get down towards the A171. There's an information board at this point. There's a memorial at that point. You can go straight up over Stony Mile Moor, or what we actually did on the day is we turned left, not along the road, but there's a smaller footpath here, it's like an unused road, and we cut through here towards Cookhouses, and then there's a sign there that says for Ravenscar. So we followed that well-worn path up to this point where you would have met back if you went the steeper route. So we're about to drop off the south sheet and go back onto the north sheet. So I'll bring you back in a second once I've flipped the map over. So we're back at this point here where we met up with the other route you can take. You just carry on the field system. The beacon's in your distance, all the way up to this point here, where you'll get Ravenscar trig point. the beacon or the mast at Ravenscar, and just at this very point here is where the Lyke Wake Walk endstone is. So hopefully that helps. It took me ages to find and put together the route. There's not a great deal of information online anymore, and a lot of the books, I bought all of the books, all of the guides, the maps, a lot of them are hand drawn, and it's just a written description of the route. So I believe this is the first YouTube video showing you the Lyke Wake Walk route. Right, hopefully that's helpful. Use the OL27 and the OL26 maps. It does dive around quite often, going from one sheet to the next. But yeah, thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.